Welcome back, folks, to the Membership Machine Show. This is episode 85. In this episode, we're going to be talking about key things in SEO that you need to know about your membership website in 2024. It's a generalistic guide, this episode. It's a kind of 101 to a kind of intermediate level. Guide of the key factors that you have to understand about SEO in 2024 based on my own experience and probably Kurt's experience as well. There's a lot of misinformation out there, a ton of it. I've read most of it and watched most of it. So it should be a great show. So, Kurt, would you like to introduce yourself to the growing new listeners and viewers? And the podcast is growing, Kurt.
Yeah, I can see. That's awesome. My name's Kurt Von Onen. I own an agency called Mañana No Mas, and we focus on membership and learning websites. I also have a podcast by the same name and work directly with the guys at WP-Tonic and Lifter LMS.
And Kirk's a fantastic member of the team at WP-Tonic. It's been a pleasure most of the time to work with him. He can say that less because sometimes I can be a bit troublesome, but my heart's in the right place, I think. There we go. Well, I haven't got any heart, but there we go. No, I'm only kidding. Like I say, we'll be looking at the fundamentals of SEO on-site, off-site SEO and the technical side a bit. Should be a great discussion. But before we go into the meat potatoes of this great show, I've got a couple of messages from our major sponsors. We will be back in a few moments, folks.
Hi there, e-commerce store owner. At Omnisend, we help more than 100,000 e-commerce customers, just like you, sell their products. We're an all-in-one email and SMS marketing platform that helps you reach your customers, grow your audience, and increase sales. In fact, our customers have seen incredible results with Omnisend, averaging $72 in revenue for every single dollar spent. And if you ever have a question, our award-winning customer support team is available 24/7 every single day. That's one of the reasons we have more than 6,000 glowing reviews and ratings all across the web. So, get started with Omnisend today and start growing your business with better email and SMS marketing.
We're coming back, folks. Before we go into it, I just want to point out also that we've got a great resource page on the WP-Tonic website, who is the parent company of this podcast. And it gives you all the resources, plugins, services, and a great course for you looking to build your membership website on WordPress, done by Kirk himself. And you get a coupon code, you get 50% off. Plus, there's a list of the best plugins that you should use for your membership website with some great offers from the sponsors. It's a great resource. To get this, all you have to do is go over to wp-tonic.com/deals. wp-tonic.com/deals. The link will be in the show notes on the WP-Tonic website. It's a great resource. Go there. So in this, Kirk, we're going to be discussing on-page SEO strategy, things you need to know, off-page SEO strategy, technical SEO strategy. I'm hoping to do the on-page and off-page in the first half of this show and maybe do the technical, or we'll probably do mostly the on-page and maybe half the off-page and finish off the off-page and do the technical in the second half. How does that sound, Kurt?
I'm game. I'm going to follow your lead.
That was a mouthful, wasn't it? So before we go into it, Kirk, what are some of the things, if you had a friend or somebody you were advising and they came to you and they said, I don't really know that much about SEO. I know you need an SEO plugin on my WordPress membership website or community website. What would be, you don't want to overwhelm them, but what would you, in a kind of quick chat, what would you hope to get across to them that you feel they need to understand, Kurt?
The thing I'm going to say about SEO, and maybe we should have had a pre-talk before the show today. I really am not an SEO expert. In fact, I have other people on my team that I pass SEO tasks over to. And here's my initial thoughts on this, Jonathan. I look at it like, when you're in business and you might be really great at sales, or you might be really great at merchandising, or you might be really great at accounting, right? It seems like SEO is the accounting equivalent of web development to me. There's like, I always focused on great content, great, I would write my stuff and I loved the stuff that I was putting out. But if I was honest, it wasn't getting enough eyes to it because I wasn't following the structures and the rules of SEO and setting things up correctly. So to me, it's almost like the difference between enjoying running your startup and making sales and interacting with customers, but you still have to do the accounting on the back end. And a lot of business people hate doing the accounting. And I find that a lot of creative types sometimes struggle with the SEO side and putting things to a structure. And so if I'm talking to a friend, like what your question was, my advice would be learn what you can about SEO, but don't rule out the idea that you might want to bring someone on your team that actually enjoys it.
Yeah, it was one of the biggest mistakes I've made on my online journey, folks, was concentrating on the technical side as a developer. But if you're working for a local regional agency, or you just want to do web development, if you're working for smaller clients, you tend to have to be more of a generalist. And really, if you're trying to build any kind of online business, which is what a membership website is, you've got to know the fundamentals of SEO, in my opinion, folks. Some people would disagree with me there. I wish I'd put the amount of effort that I've put in the last 4 years, and especially in the last 2 years, a long time ago. But on the other hand, it's taken me quite a while to build up my own business. And what I mean by that, folks, is precisely what I'm selling to people. That's half the battle. That's not really, and I try and explain that to people on their first membership course, is it's very unlikely that your first course is going to be the basis of the business. It will morphosize. Is there a word, morphosize, Kurt?
I think you just made it up.
Yeah, it's a good one, though, isn't it?
It's a good one.
It's a good one, morphosize. It's going to change, folks. And in all my heart, I hope that you build a great business, folks, and you have the determination and the grit to do it. But the business that you end up with, the courses that you aren't going to be anything like the first course. That's just the truth of the matter. And it's the same with most online businesses, folks. So I wish I had concentrated more on SEO earlier. Now, we are living in the age of AI, and this episode won't cover AI, because I could do a whole show about that and its linkage to SEO in 2024, folks. Some people say that SEO is going to die. I've gone through that myself when social media erupted in 27, 28, 29. The same thing was said there. I don't know. I think in reality, and I utilise a lot of AI, is in specific questions, you probably can get a better answer using AI. If you really don't know much about the subject and you're doing general research, you don't know the questions to ask. So you're going to be utilising traditional search methodologies. And it applies to the deeper end. AI at the present moment, and obviously it will improve, it's going to improve. But at the present moment, it doesn't if you're looking for very specific, higher level, expert level insight, you're not going to get it from AI. Where it works well is in summarizing information, providing lists to some extent, but you've got to know the right answer, the right questions
Right
to
questions.
ask it, and generalistic outlines. It's kind of glorified Wikipedia. Like Wikipedia is really useful, but you've got to know the prompts, the questions to ask, and it gives you enough information, but you normally move on to other resources to do deeper study. Is that making any sense, Kurt?
It is a little bit of waffling, but I think you got on the point. We're
Yeah.
good.
So, what are some of the basics? Well, fundamentally, it's categorized in three categories. You've got on-page SEO, off-page, and technical SEO. Now, what do I mean by on-page? Well, it's the structure of your pages, how Google sees your pages, sees a post, sees a bit of content that you're trying to rank in Google and the other SEO search engines. The fundamental thing is that Google has about 90% plus of the search market. So that's just the reality. So Google has technology that scrapes your pages, indexes your pages, and it's indexing engines, it's indexing technologies. To some extent, they're AI driven as well, right? They still rely on, they were emphasizing more and more on-page SEO, utilizing their AI technology, but you cannot trust everything that Google says. You have to listen to it, but do not follow experts that blindly just give out what Google is saying. Because Google has a history of misleading whole groups of people, individuals. So you have to listen what they're saying, but you never take it as gospel. And if you do, you're making a mistake there, folks. And you could apply that to anything you come across the internet, or me, or Kirk, or anything. Listen to it, but make a judgment call. Now, what's come to light is that these on-site you have more control over, but what's come out lately is the external, the off-page elements have never gone away to the way that Google was trying to make out. They consistently over the last 5 to 6 years have played down the external elements that they utilize to make a judgment call about a particular post, about a particular page, about a particular website. But the truth is, these external factors never went away. Is that making sense, Kurt?
It is. And just to be like super clear, like any kind of link to another site or another site linking to you, though, that's all off-page stuff.
Yes.
Right.
So you basically, what is Google looking for when it comes to your on-site SEO, and what are some of the things that you've got to know and understand? They're looking for how long somebody stays on a particular page and how long they stay on a particular website. How many internal clicks does somebody do on a website? How long in how engaged are they on particular content. What do I mean by engagement? Well, it's you have a blog post. Do you have any audio content on it? Do you have a video? Do you have multiple videos on it? Do you have images? Do people graphs, info elements? They measure how far somebody enters a blog post, a page, the content before the fold. What I mean by that, the content that's first shown on a mobile device and on a desktop or tablet. Increasingly, Google's emphasis is on mobile because this varies, but mobile has a dominance of people using mobile devices to look at websites. So it's the stuff that shows on that mobile device, and then Google measures how far do they scroll to consume the other content on that particular page and post. Do they click to watch a video that's on that post? Do they click to other pages on? That's one of the main things that they look for when it comes to on-page SEO. Does that make sense, Kurt?
It does. It does. And just in transparency, that those are some of the things that I, as a content creator, had the biggest issues with. I would make the title and I'd write 10 paragraphs. I'd slap in a couple of pictures and hit publish, thinking that I was writing really smart content. But what I didn't recognize was I need those H2 subtitles. I need those H3s for clarification. I need a list. I need an infographic. If I could put a video as a sister product to drive home my authority on the topic. Those are all things that Google's looking for. But I hadn't realized that until, late in the game, that's what Google was looking for. And once I implemented those things, I saw my traffic go up.
I don't know if you can agree. I think you've learned a little bit by working with me, haven't you?
No. You pretty much show me exactly what not to do, Jonathan.
All right.
No, it's a lot of it comes from that and the work with Lifter and other folks that are in this content game. It's and then, to be honest, I felt it took some of the art out of what I was trying to do. Sometimes I would look at something and be like, does that even meet my initial intent of making that content? So as someone that considers themselves a writer or an artist, those are things that you have to battle internally. But if you want people to see your stuff, the goal is to get people to see your stuff. So what's Google looking for? How's Google going to recommend your content? Follow some guidelines. You don't have to follow everything 100%, but follow some guidelines and you'll see your traffic go up.
Yeah. So, so they're looking for engagement, internal clicks, how long somebody stays on a page and engages with that post, page, article, whatever you want to call it, folks.
Yeah.
Now, the next thing is page titles. These are really crucial, and this is one of the, you need to do research about. You come up with an idea about a particular post. You need some methodology to research. Is that particular subject and title, is it getting any search volume, or is it too competitive? The reality in 2024 is that if you choose to write particular titles around particular subjects and you're in an extremely competitive area with fully professional or semi-professional competition in that websites that have more domain authority, and I will explain that later on, is that your that post, that article that you're writing is unlike it. if somebody hits your website and they come across it, it could still influence them to buy something or contact you. It's not a total waste of time, and it will gradually build your domain authority, but you're not going to get a lot of traffic from it. So doing basic research about a content idea and seeing, by utilizing one of these tools, how competitive it is, or they also can suggest other titles that are less competitive, is a really important step, which a lot of people that just put on a SEO plugin, some of these SEO WordPress plugins also supposedly can offer you insights. I would never utilize a WordPress SEO plugin to recommend titles. I would use an external tool to do that. Headers, well, Kirk's just mentioned that. Headers are like your H2s, your H3s, a basic structure, and having keywords in those headers and that. I would suggest that don't go absolutely crazy about this, because it will totally disrupt your ability. It's best to write out the post, write something out, and then edit it, and then do some alteration to. I wouldn't keyword stuff too much. I wouldn't in your actual content. I would just edit on the H2s and maybe some H3s after you've written the content. Did that make sense, Kurt?
It does.
Then you've got meta description. The meta description is, if you do a search in Google, you get the page title, and underneath is a description. That's the meta description. It has no direct influence about where Google will index your actual piece of content. But why it is still very important, because it is the description. It is the sales piece of search. You got the title, and then people quickly look at the meta description to make a judgment call. Is it worth clicking on this and wasting 2 minutes of my life on a decision that I'm going to actually consume this content, right? And those 2 minutes can quickly add up, can't they, listeners and viewers? So we all skim, we all see if, and the meta description is the thing that is one of the biggest factors that will make people click or not. And I use AI to really help me with that. That's one of the things that can be quite helpful. Another factor which is really important is to have images in your blog posts. But I'm not sure about this. I might be wrong, folks. I still think Google doesn't have but with AI, they probably can visually, with the use of AI, make some judgment call about what an image is about. I don't think it's totally perfected, but I think that side's improved quite a lot. But part of your SEO strategy with any SEO plugin tool that you're using is it will give you the ability to add a text description, a title and text description to every image. For usability, this is the important factor anyway. Anybody using that's got a visual disability or some other disability, they're going to, especially visual disability, they rely on page readers, and they won't be able to see the images. But this is a real important factor. It's not a mega factor, but it also tells Google if you're really serious about the content. So they see it, somebody just slapped something up, and hasn't spent any time editing or formatting it. So every SEO plugin allows you to do a title and description of each image. I would strongly advise you to do that. The structure of the markup, Kirk mentioned this. It's best to write the article, get it up, and then look at it and edit the structure. That's when you do more work on the H2s, H3s. Edit. You don't want the paragraphs to be too long. Obviously, you don't want them all the same size either, but keep in mind you want to break it up. And don't write stuff that's too wordy. That's one of the problems of AI. It tends to write a bit wordy. You're looking at 7th to 8th grade with it, but that can vary because obviously if you're writing in a specific target audience in a technical area, obviously the language is going to be a little bit higher than that. But most people who have an English degree who think they're a very good writer tend to overutilize wordy language and overwrite and use a vocabulary that is not that easy to read. You really got to keep that in mind. And then you've got page URLs. Keep them short, and that's why you should research your page title, because you really do need keywords in your page URLs. In WordPress, the page title will become your page URL. So it sorts itself out, but that's why you also don't want your page titles to be too long. You can overdo this. You also need to sort your categories. Categorizing, if you write, you're writing about a certain topic, but there's categories that you regularly write. It's best to put those categories in subcategories, and WordPress is really very good at this, and it just makes it easier for Google and their technology to index the site. Internal linking is really important as well. It's a factor. Linking your certain, if you will generally cover similar areas and you have other posts, linking from one post to another internal post around what I said earlier about Google wants to see how long somebody stays on your website is really important. Mobile responsiveness. It's really a world of mobile first, really, and we all tend to build websites, and as membership owners or trying to build a membership website, or WordPress professionals or web designer, we tend to work on desktop. But the majority of people that are viewing the content and the website will be on mobile. So that, and Google, it's one of the reasons why you want a decent host, because if you're building on WordPress, and we recommend that you still do because ownership and everything else that we've covered, folks, is that the speed factor on mobile is really important to Google, because they know the majority of people that are consuming content are on mobile. And last thing is site speed, and I've just covered that. So what's your reaction about everything I've just outlined, Kirk?
Well, it's one of those things where we go through a list like this, and I just picture the average listener or viewer just going like, all of that? Like, I got to manage all of that? And it's like, yeah, it's, especially if you're doing a startup or a new course launch or something like that, it's a lot of work. But in order to launch properly and to get eyes to your product, you have to touch each of these things.
Yeah.
And so you really got to participate at a high level or get help.
Yeah. It's not that difficult. Actually, it's not that. You just need a process. There's a number of resources. But there's a lot of called gurus and people that are so high up that their advice is irrelevant. And then there's a lot of, I think, even though they're in direct competition to WordPress in some ways, HubSpot have a lot of resources about SEO,
Oh, yeah.
and they're quite credible. They actually are. They have a lot of investment from Google. Actually, I think Google's trying to buy them actually, or have bought them. I'm not sure, but I think they're in the process of trying to buy them. Is they've got a lot of resources, and it's not too technical. The language they're using isn't too technical, because a lot of these more SEO specialised advice websites, the language can get very technically oriented very quickly. So I have some links to some of their resources in the show notes, folks. But you can read about 4 or 5 of their articles and then look up and work out. You want to use the same process on every post. Write out a process and stick to it. That's what I've done. I have a process that I utilise on every blog post, on every bit of content I produce, folks. And it's a template, and I apply it to every bit of content that I put on the WP-Tonic website. And I think you do the same, don't you, Kurt?
Yeah, having a process is big. For me, when I said it's a lot to handle, it's things like internal linking. Like, you can write the content, you can start to structure the content, but then you have to switch your brain into a different gear and go, oh, what other assets do I already have that closely match or that are related to this topic, and then how do I link them in a way that makes sense? It's those things, right? It's those extra pieces.
Yeah, I think we've thrown enough information at you. I know that was a lot, but I tried to keep it to the basics, folks. But like I say, don't lose heart. Just do some basic research, get a template of action that you apply to every bit of content, and it will soon become second nature, and you'll be doing yourself a lot of favours. We're going to go for our mid-break. We've got a couple other messages from our great sponsors that we really appreciate. We will be back in a few moments.
Tired of hosting providers that can't handle high traffic loads? Conversio is here to help. Our platform can handle any amount of traffic, all without slowing down or crashing. With immediate Slack support, performance optimization, and a team that thrives on resolving technical challenges, your e-commerce business is in safe hands. Learn more about Conversio at conversio.com.
This podcast episode is brought to you by Lifter LMS, the leading learning management system solution for WordPress. If you or your client are creating any kind of online course, training-based membership website, or any type of e-learning project, Lifter LMS is the most secure, stable, well-supported solution on the market. Go to lifterlms.com and save 20% at checkout with coupon code podcast20. That's podcast20. Enjoy the rest of your show.
We're coming back, folks. We've had a feast of basic SEO 101 up to intermediate level in the first half, and we got some more great insights that will help you get traffic to your membership, to your courses, so you can build the kind of lifestyle that you're looking for yourself and your family. Before I go in, I just want to point out that we've got a fabulous Facebook community, a Facebook group. It's totally free. You just go to Facebook and you just search for the Membership Machine Show. We'd love you to join. It's a great mixture of WordPress professionals and people building their membership website like you. And you can put some questions or see what people are talking about. We'd love you to join. On to offsite. like I said in the first half, for a while, Google, with the use of AI before it become more publicly in the consciousness in the last year, the last 3 to 4 years, they were utilizing it a lot more for their own search technology, and they were really playing down off-site. I never believed them from day one. I believed that the on-site AI technology was having a place and an increasing place, but I always thought they were using off-site as well. Now, when it comes to off-site, one of the factors that is called domain authority. Basically, if you're building a new course on a new website with a new ULR, you're going to be put into a sandbox by Google. It's very unlikely, especially if you're trying to compete even in moderately, not high, I'm talking to moderately low SEO terms, titles. It's very unlikely your website pages, posts are going to rank. That's just the brutal truth, folks. That's why you really want to be posting stuff earlier on and trying to build credibility. There are ways of getting around this that I'm not going to go through here because this is a kind of introductory. We're probably going to be doing another show about SEO with Haroon, where we might go into that a bit more. But domain authority, every website has a score from Google scores a whole website. And if you're trying to compete with a domain that has a website that has a higher domain name, it's very unlikely that you're going to be that successful. What's your thoughts? Did you learn this, and what did you learn about this, Kurt?
I just think when people are choosing their topics or choosing, what they want to compete in, it's very important to select wisely. For instance, I talk to a ton of people that want to make a leadership course and then try to corner the market on leadership. Well, that's not going to work. It's optimistic and it's fun to think about, and you could be the smartest guy in the room for most of the rooms that you're in, but the idea that you're going to be able to rank for leadership and oust people that have held those high positions in the search algorithms for decades is really, really slim. So what I'm saying is you may focus on leadership, but then you need to niche that down. And for instance, I have stuff that I do in the power sports fixed operations world. If you were to search leadership, I'd be lost. If you were to search even motorcycles, I might get lost. But there's not very many people that focus on leadership within fixed operations of motorcycle dealerships. And the idea there is that you just need to pick what you're trying to rank for and then be very purposeful in that direction to establish that authority.
Yeah, I totally agree. But you've got to keep this in mind, folks. This is why you've got to do some general research using one or two tools that we might mention. Because you can't choose something where there's no search volume.
Yeah.
Because nobody's looking for it. So you've got to choose a particular niche. And I totally agree. And then you've got to check what are the search. I'm thinking of building a book of content. I call it a book of content around a particular category niche. Are there any, I'm not going to get an enormous volume, but I'm not looking for I'm looking to get the right people
Yep.
and I'm trying to offer them a product, a course, whatever I'm selling at a price that that particular individual could afford. There's no point in offering a $15,000 course to people that would struggle to pay for a $1,000 course. It ain't going to work, folks. It just isn't going to work. That's just the facts, folks. There's no point in trying. So you've got to think this out a little bit, folks. But if you do, and you listen to this podcast, and you go to the WP-Tonic website and read some of the enormous amount of content that we have on that website, and do a bit of dive, you're going to be in a much better position in not failing on your building up your membership website, folks. So, link building. Now, I must get about 20 to 30 outreaches a week about people saying, will you share this bit of content? Do you allow people to be guests to write articles on your posts? My position is I only allow my top sponsors that possibility. And secondly, they must work. There are people that allow regular guest posting, and there is a strategy which is too much to go through in this particular show in allowing guests and third parties to post on your website. I think Google. So I don't want to go into it because we could talk that about 15 minutes, 20 minutes on its own. And there are professional SEO, external link building agencies. A lot of them are a bit iffy. Some are more credible. I think the strategy I would advise you to do is utilize third-party platforms and post some of your content on these platforms, like a bit of the article, a third of the article, half article, and then have a link back to the full post. And some of the platforms you can use images on Pinterest. A lot of people are using that quite a lot. Depends on your audience, because I'm not trying to be funny here, folks, but it's by looking at analyticals, it has a strong female following. But if you're in a particular subject, posting on Pinterest, posting on Instagram, having a link back is plausible. The problem with the meta-dominated properties like Instagram, Facebook, is unless you cough up money, your posts aren't going to be seen by a lot of people. So that's, in some ways, it's a bit of a waste of time. You're better off trying to build a group. It's one of the few things that work, but it's not easy, but it might be worthwhile. LinkedIn got a more open, but it does depends on the subject. Mostly, I would say totally business to business. If you're trying to sell business to consumer, but it's a bit of overlap, isn't it? What is business to consumer? What is business to business? In 2024, it kind of overlaps a bit more, but it has definitely a more business to business. Then you can also utilize YouTube and do a video and then write a longer post and have a link to that post. And the great thing is that YouTube is owned by Google, and it's the second biggest search engine on the internet. Also, I'm not a great lover of the owner of X, formerly known as Twitter. It's not somebody I really admire, but I don't hate him either. X has a good reach as well. Utilising these to build signals to Google about external platforms back to you is a good methodology that the average person could utilize. What do you think about this, Kurt?
I'm seeing a lot more activity on X than I had seen, I would say, the previous 2 years. So I think X is definitely coming up a little bit. And as you well know, Jonathan, I'm a big fan of LinkedIn, especially with their other tools, because you can do newsletters and articles through LinkedIn, and you can have those link back
Well,
to
at
your.
least some people will see it. It's not enormous, but unlike Meta properties, nobody
Yeah.
sees it, do they?
Yeah, I really feel like when I publish on a Meta property that my post is downgraded if it has any kind of link or anything that goes to business for me. I don't think anyone really sees it. But you know, and if they clicked like and notifications and all that stuff, they might. But then you're just preaching to the choir. Then you're publishing to eyes that you already have. So so for me, I really find that LinkedIn is one of the best social tools because of the extra tools they bring to the party. You can
Yeah.
copy your posts into the article and other areas.
What I would say about Meta, if you really think your audience are on Meta properties, Facebook, Instagram, Threads, you got to go all in.
All in.
And what I mean all in is,
Swipe that credit card.
no, it's not even that. If you've got some budget for paid advertising, it will accelerate. But what I mean is, you won't have the bandwidth. I understand. I discussed this. My understanding is that video was really popular on Meta and on all these properties. Another expert told me that they're backing off on that because even for organisation of the enormous financial and breadth of Meta, hosting all these videos was costing them a hell of a lot of money, right? They're not. They're almost Google, but not quite. But what they want to see is they want people on their platforms and not to leave. If you're on there all the time producing a ton of content and you're keeping the people on Meta and on Meta properties, and you're just throwing a ton of content, they will show it to more people. But but it's got to be content, and you're not linking to external. If you start linking to taking people off their platform, they're not interested. Your content, it's just they're going to show it to less and less people. Is that making sense, Kurt?
It is, absolutely.
So if you're going to go in with Mark and Meta, they want an exclusive relationship, folks. And I don't believe in that, because putting all your eggs in one basket, I don't think is a great idea. But some people, they're fine with it. The other area, and I've kind of linked it together, is influence and affiliate marketing. We had a great interview last week with a real expert, Matt, who's got one of the biggest podcasts about affiliate marketing, and he's built a multi-million business where he runs affiliate outreach for clients. And he brought a lot of value last week. I've combined the two because I think influence and affiliate marketing have become very intertwined in some ways, because most affiliates, either they're being directly paid, and also they have access to special affiliate deals. It's something I put a little bit of work in. It's an area that I know that. What's your thoughts about this? Because I've done a bit, but I know other people that really built their business totally through influencers and affiliate marketing, haven't they?
It's a mixed bag for me, Jonathan. I think it really depends on the culture of your project and how tightly woven or knit the people are that are looking to be your affiliates. I've seen projects where affiliates do really well, and then I've seen, and here's the weirdest thing. I signed up for a ton of affiliate programs, and I thought, oh, I'm going to have all. And as an agency, I would tell my clients, oh, if you want to use this, let's say you want to use this CRM tool, hey, go ahead and sign up for that. Use my link, and blah blah blah. And then they're like, oh, I got that tool, and I'm like, I didn't see any notification. So getting people to use the links and getting people to understand the directions, you got to be organized.
Well, the
and you have to
reality
people get
is,
organized.
unless it's a video or social media content that actually drives the person
Directly to it.
and your affiliate link is there, or it's a bit of content on your website and you're getting enough traffic, that instantaneously they read it, they want the product, they click the link, they go, it ain't going to pan out for you.
No, you have to have a mechanism and a connection to your point, which is instantaneous. If you think they're going to have a conversation with you and then tomorrow sign in to do something, that's not going to happen.
Yeah. Another factor that I haven't listed, folks, is the email list, and that's another thing.
Big topic.
It's really hard to build up an email list. It's pain, unless there are ways of building it, but building an email, it's a bit like affiliate marketing. I do a regular weekly newsletter. It goes out religiously. I've increased the quality. I do research. It has a little bit of an article, but I have links to various WordPress and tech stories that come on my radar during the week. I don't think it's a bad result. It's there, a quick skim, 5-6 minutes, look over. It's really hard. It's starting to gradually go up now, because I went through a period where I kept changing the focus of the audience, and people unsubscribe because I was changing the content. I think I've settled on who it's aimed at, and it is gradually going back up now, but it's not easy. Depending on the price of your course, folks, you don't need a massive newsletter. You need people to open it. I've looked at people and said, I got a 30,000, and they're only getting like
2%.
Yeah, 2% opening. And I said, that's not, you do realise that the opening rate is tracked by Google and that. That's not great. It's better to have a 500 list than have 40% open it, which is very, very high. I get around, what do I average? I get slightly below 20% opening, but they open 1 month and then another group opens the next month. I don't think getting between, some of them I get about 25, 27, depending on the title and the topic. I don't think that's too bad. What do you reckon, Kurt?
No, it's good. I have segmented, all my users on different projects. And I had one project that was nailing like a 58% open rate for years. But to your point, that list only had less than 2,000 people on it, but they were really engaged, and it was a really good group. Communication was strong. To your point, these folks that have these giant mail lists or these automation tools that say everyone that emails my Outlook gets added to this list, that's not growing an effective list. That's just spamming folks that didn't anticipate getting your email. And that's never good.
No, but I'm not going to, but it should be a focus, like offering lead magnets, folks, doing a pre-launch, as they say, offering some mini, so you're kind of building your list, because long as they're engaged, it will help. I've not found it, but my own journey has been more about what the newsletter, if you've done, and we've covered this in other episodes, folks, if you've really known the niche, you've done your persona identification, you've learnt something about your target audience, it will make the focus of your newsletter much easier, because I've been really bad and I've wasted a lot of years but my list, I got my list at one stage up to 5,000 people, but it was all people in Northern Nevada, because I was a freelancer for a couple of agencies in Northern Nevada, and I was doing my own stuff. And then I decided about 8 years ago, I can't believe that I wanted to build an online business, and I wanted to cut back on, and I've managed, I've made progress, but it's been a long journey. We got about 8-9 minutes. Was this the time? Yep. The time's gone quick, really. I think we're going to wrap it up. We're not going to go into the technical side. We'll probably go in with Haroon. Hopefully we're going to do a show. He's gone off on holiday, folks. Hopefully he will be back. He's always going off somewhere. But he does do a lot of business travel. And we were talking about doing a show with him on the technical side of it. I think we've covered a lot of stuff in this, though. I know you've just been listening to me a lot, but your contribution's been great as well. But I think we've together given some good insight. I think this conversation's been real, hasn't it?
It's been a little more real. And just to kind of recap, you said something at the beginning of the show, and then you duplicated that same thought at the end, and that was, just keep in mind that what you start out with might not be what you finish with. Be open to change.
Never is.
Yeah, be open to change, be open to tweaks, be open to getting the feedback from your audience and making adjustments. And then the other thing I think that was really important, Jonathan, that we covered is, we barrage people, information by fire hose with all these different things that went for, on-page SEO tactics. And then you kind of brought it all home. You said, if you have a process, a template, and that's really important. Craft yourself a template, an outline, a something. Give yourself a checklist that you can follow. I know some people that put it in a Trello board. I know some people that have project management software, but you figure out what works for you. Put those elements on some type of a checklist. And once you template this process for yourself, it'll be much easier. It'll be more organic. And then your content, hopefully, will begin to feel more natural as you fill that process.
Yeah. I think this is what I've learned, folks, is keep your costs down. This is the great thing about WordPress. Signing up for some of these SaaS products, great. They're pretty expensive at the start, and as soon as you get any traction, they really start getting expensive. Really expensive. And if you start getting traction, trying to move to another platform and all the aggro, not only is it expensive to have to do that, it's such a pain in the posterior. It really is painful. People still do it because they just get fed up being taken to the cleaners by these SaaS platforms. So I think it's best to start with WordPress and not having to go through that process, and it enables you to keep your costs to a reasonable level. Because I've got nothing against SaaS products, folks. I use a few myself, but you end up with subscription-itis, as I call it. The subscriptions just flow out every month, and I try and keep them under the control. But if you're running a membership website, and ownership. The other factor is, like I say, don't overthink it, your initial launch of your membership website. You just need something that looks really good. You need a good message. You need to identify your niche, your persona, and your first course, it just will not be the thing that you end up with. It's a process, and people don't understand that. And hopefully we're making this clear to you. And as long as you're making progress, I'm not saying you got most people give up too early. They don't realise that as long as you're making, it might be slow progress, it might be painful progress, it might be progress that's too slow for you. But as long as you're making that, you should keep on. Most people give up too early.
Yep.
But I'm not saying if you're not making any progress, at some stage you do have to give up. But most people, it's slower than you think, folks, and they give up too early. Would you agree with that, Kurt?
I definitely agree with that. There's way too many of these flashy guru Lamborghini types on social telling you just do X, Y, Z, and in 30 days you're going to make this money. And it's not true. It takes work, it takes time, it takes patience, it takes the ability to tweak and make those changes you're talking about. But if you have the patience and you can keep your expenses low enough and survive getting to the other end, the reward's at the end. It really is.
Yeah, my time's running out, folks. But I wanted this podcast to be something that would educate people that had some credibility. But I wish I'd done. I knew what I knew 10 years ago. But you know, it is what it is. So you just got to plod along and just keep in the game, folks. So, Kirk, what's the best way for people to find out more about you and what you're up to?
Well, Mañana No Mas is our company name. So mañananomas.com, Mañana No Mas on X, all those things. But if you want to connect with me directly as a person, make that connection on LinkedIn because I'm the only Kurt Von Annen on LinkedIn.
He likes unique, if you notice, folks, he likes unique names, doesn't he? Hopefully you found this podcast really useful, giving you some tips and some things to think about. We'll be back next week. We've also got some great guests coming on the show in the next few weeks as well. You'd be surprised. We've got some fabulous people coming on the show. We'll see you next week, folks. Bye.